All right. Greetings and peace, everyone. My name is Neo. I'm that human relationship anatomist. I study, observe, and really examine, investigate human relationships from top to bottom, left to right, ins and out, and really being involved with observing a variety of people's relationships and reading people energetically and psychologically and seeing what's really going on with them and what caused their behavior in a variety of situations. So that's what I do as a human relationship anatomist. And I have a new lecture here. This one is based off of the movie The Perfect Match, the one with Terrence J and Cassie Ventura. And before I start, let me go ahead and give you a brief background of me. I am the third child out of 4 siblings. I have 3 sisters, and I'm the only boy. And my father fully left out of my life when I was the age of 16, and before that he was in and out of my life, so I didn't have a strong, mature father figure in my life at all. And then my mother, she was in and out of the house with work, obsessed with work, which I say obsessed because she was a little bit out of balance between her motherhood, being a mother, and providing for the family, which my father leaving, that created an imbalance. So that's why it is important to have 2 parents in the house, a male and a female, to give that balance. So I definitely see what's going on with this propaganda to get people separated, get couples separated, especially the black male and the black female separated, so that there be an imbalance in the whole family structure. And I seen it as a great example, firsthand experience with my own family. And me looking back, I'm like, wow, this stuff is really, really messed up. And really analyzing my family even more, as much as possible, I see what was going on. So my mother really did do her best based on from her perspective, but I feel like if she would have got out of that psychosis that she was in, since she was in her early years, and she didn't have a strong mother figure herself and a strong mature father, so she didn't have anything to work with. And she didn't wake up spiritually, because if she did wake up spiritually, she would see what the fuck is going on, and then she would know what to do as a mother and as a parent, and be able to develop us as her children into mature adults. And me, I was the one that woke up spiritually. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to do this, this, and this, and this is how an adult is, and this, then this. So in other words, my spirit was just guiding me. I had my own spiritual guidance. So that's what led me to the mature, psychologically and emotionally balanced individual that I am now, that allowed me to perceive what's going on with people in relationships, and to be able to give you this information now, and to come up with, to write this book that I already have available on my blog, and to write all of the articles that's on my blog, and to give you this information here in this YouTube channel. So throughout my years of pretty much being on my own and being guided from the spiritual side, spiritual guidance, it led me to pay attention to a lot of things that the average person doesn't pay attention to. And then it was after one of my breakups in my near my mid 20s, that's when it hit me like, wait a minute, I need to really look at this picture as a whole and see what the fuck is going on, because I have to learn what I need to learn so that I can be successful in relationships. So after that breakup, that was when the spiritual side came through and said, look, what makes you think that you're ready to move forward with a new relationship? So from then on, I was like, okay, I'm going on my journey to learn about relationships and to learn about myself, self-reflection, self-development, and self-analysis. And I'll go into the meaning of those later on in the lecture. So that's my brief background. So I went on to doing all of this studying, lots of studying the movies, because the movies has a ton of information that needs to be decoded by a person so that they can learn for themselves about what relationships are and learn the propaganda that's being put in these movies, TV shows, and in the news also. So I went on that, and after a while, I just started to develop a relationship mindset so that I can perceive the do's and don'ts of a variety of situations. And after me developing this relationship mindset, I really realized that the average person, the reason why they fail in their relationships is because they haven't obtained the relationship mindset. A relationship mindset allows you to perceive and behave in a way that's conducive to the success of any relationship, whether it be a friendship, a parent-child relationship, or anything anywhere. You just have this maturity about you, and you just know what to do and know what to say. And if you don't know what to say at that time, say and do, then eventually it'll just come to you. So me doing all the studying, the observing and investigating a variety of situations, I just started to develop this relationship mindset. Now I'm able to actually define what a relationship mindset is, because back then I didn't even know what it was. I just knew that I knew certain things about relationships throughout the studying. So you just develop, after a certain amount of time of really observing something and studying something, you just develop a mindset that's conducive to whatever it is that you're studying. So for me, it's relationships and a variety of other things. So that's that. Let's see here. And then you develop an intuition for relationships. Yeah, an intuition, a very, very high intuition. So for me, another way that I absorb my relationship information is by really just sitting down, observing people. Wherever I can see people, I'll just sit there and just observe them. And then intuitive impressions come to me, and I just know what's going on in the situation. And then I learn that way also. So it's like I'll see the mistakes that the person is about to portray, about to go through, and also I perceive a whole bunch of other things. And then I'll just sit there, like I'll find time by myself, and I'll sit there and I'll reflect on all of the things that the individual or the couple did, and then I'll think of other solutions so that I can avoid situations like that. And also I learn so that I can teach this information, give it out to the people. And it's a lot of advanced insights that I have that I'll share some of them for free here on YouTube, but it's a lot of extra information that I feel like only a certain people who's serious about evolving need to hear. And I say this because when people usually pay for something, depending on the price and the quality of the information, they take it a lot more seriously. So for me, there's only so much information that I'm going to give away for free here on YouTube, so that I can avoid this information from being just entertainment for the average people that's listening to this. Because there are some people that's actually learning from my information that I give out, and they're utilizing it. And then you have some people that's, when they study or when they watch YouTube, they're just using it as entertainment. And those people that are using it as entertainment, these are the people that I avoid giving high advanced relationship insights to. So I'll have to figure out a way to give this advanced information to those serious people, but I'm definitely going to find some kind of filter so I can filter out all of the entertainment people and then only bring in the serious, authentic people that really want to learn. So that's that. All right, so I'm going to do things a little bit differently than I usually do with my relationship lectures. I still have source material, and that's the movie. The source material is the movie, The Perfect Match, as I said earlier. But I'm going to do less of talking about the scenes specifically, but I'm going to speak about the relationship insights that I felt people need to learn that this movie is not showing. Because this movie in general is not showing anything of higher nature that's really helping people learn and evolve themselves. And that's what I have to say about a lot of these African American movies, these black movies. A lot of them, the majority of them, aren't really speaking about anything that's of higher knowledge that's really helping people evolve. They show a lot of entertainment, which that's decent and that's good to keep people interested. But when you're a person like me who really wants to learn something of higher knowledge so that I can evolve my consciousness and get on a higher level, I want some meat, some meat of information that's really I can really take and internalize that will help me grow. This movie didn't help me do that at all. It just pointed out all of the bullshit that's going on, the propaganda, and the stuff that people have already absorbed into their consciousness, and they're just following along with this. So, the movie description we have here is Charlie Terrence J is a charming playboy who doesn't believe in serious relationships. His best friends bet him that if he commits to one woman for 1 month, he's bound to fall in love. Charlie accepts the seemingly easy challenge, but wasn't expecting to cross paths with the beautiful and mysterious Eva, which is Cassie Ventura. When Charlie coaxes her into a casual affair, Eva turns the table on him, forcing the lifelong bachelor to question whether he wants more than just a one-night stand. Okay, now I'm gonna give a brief review of this, very brief. I gotta say that this movie, I'm very fortunate that I saw this movie for free, because this movie wasn't even worth $5 in my opinion. If anything, it's a maximum of $5, and it should have went straight to DVD, straight to DVD, because this was like let me see, a person who just got out of film school, and they put together a movie, and they somehow was able to make it a feature film to get it in theaters. That's what it really felt like. And I heard that it was an R&B director who directed this film. But it really was not an amazing, extravagant, groundbreaking movie at all. It's nothing in here really in this movie was new. If you've been watching romance movies, romance comedies, and it was nothing even really funny in this movie. It was one thing that really made me laugh in this movie, and that was when Abram, Charlie's assistant, I guess, I don't know what the fuck he was, they really didn't explain it, but Abram, when he was in that meeting with Charlie, and Charlie, before the meeting, he just said, I want you to come in every so often with it's a no-brainer. Just say it's a no-brainer. And then when he came with that, when he came and he said it way early, when there was no reason for him to say it's a no-brainer, that was the only time where I burst out laughing out of the whole movie. Literally. Everything else was not funny to me at all. Maybe I got like a chuckle, but that it's a no-brainer that was the only time where I burst out laughing, and then I only laughed for probably maybe about a few seconds, and then after that I was like, this shit is not funny. um there was a lot of there's a few propagandas in here that is in almost every romance cookie cutter movie, and that's what this movie was. It was a cookie cutter romance movie. Let me see, what else can I say about it? I gotta say, Cassie, there was a lot of beautiful women. Not a lot, but there were some beautiful females in this movie, definitely. Certainly. And Cassie was the hottest out of all of them. And my favorite, Paula Patton. Man, every time I see her, I first saw her in the movie Deja Vu with Denzel Washington, and I was so amazed at her beauty throughout the whole movie of Deja Vu. And it was like the first time me seeing Deja Vu, I know I wanted to learn about the movie, but I was just so obsessed with looking at her. I'm like, wow. I couldn't stop looking at her, and I was so excited to see her on the screen again. I'm like, put it back on, put it back on. And when she was back on there, my mouth would just drop open like, whoa. Because those are the type of females that I really, really like. And as I said in one of my other videos, those mulatto females I really, really, really like. Those mixed females I like. And every time I see Paula, I'm like, man, she is just flawless. And I looked at her again and analyzed her again about why I like her. She's flawless. Like, I won't even go into details right here. Let me get to the movie. So my review, it was beautiful females, and they had somewhat good sex scenes, but it was a lot of dry humping between Charlie and Eva. Dry humping. And then he had the cute girl in the beginning, that when he was jogging and she was talking about getting her pictures done by him. She was cute too. She was another mixed one. But the way that it went down, it just was like, it had this cookie cutter energy about it and just looked so fucking fake. And I was like, okay. I don't know what to get out of that scene, but all right. And the way that they introduced him was just so, it was cheesy. It had this cheesy energy about him. And what I gotta say about Terrence J, his what do you call it? His performance, it was decent, but as a main character, I don't feel that he's ready for a main character role just yet. Put him as somebody like his friends in the movie. Put him in one of those roles, and then have somebody else who's already established be the main role. I feel like Terrence would have been better as a B character, or be a C character, than a main whatchamacallit. But he was one of the best acting wise, other than Paula. Him and Paula, them two, they had a great chemistry on screen. I enjoyed seeing them two more than I enjoyed seeing Eva and Charlie together, because Terrence and Cassie's chemistry, it was just like, what the fuck was that? Seriously. So it was like, if I was the director, I would probably put Paula and Terrence together as the main what I was gonna say, the main characters, and make them two in a relationship, but not as a rather than a siblings. Yeah. So overall, that's my quick review of the movie, and it was not a very interesting movie, but I just figured, like, okay, well, let me go ahead and decode the bullshit and bring it to the people, and so they can see what's really going on. And I'm gonna give you guys what I can out of this bullshit movie. And it's the notes, I'm looking at it before I even hit record. I'm like, man, there was nothing else that I can really write down. So it might be a short lecture. We'll see. Let's get started. So I started off with here in the notes. I have both single and committed relationship life. Both have their advantages. Neither of them are a one size fits all. So that's that. Now, do you remember how they was trying to pressure Charlie to get into a relationship, and they kept doing that in this movie ridiculously? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why do they keep doing this? And whoever was writing this, it's like, what the fuck were you thinking to keep these characters pressuring him? It's like, it just doesn't make sense. And if you think about it, they did it 3 times. They did it first at the dinner. Second, they did it when his friends were jogging, and the third time they did it when they were at that cafe, the juicing cafe. They just kept saying, "Oh, I don't know what's wrong with you, man. Why you not in a relationship? Why you not in a relationship?" And Charlie, he kept saying, like, "Look, not everybody wants this relationship stuff. Not everybody wants that life." And it's true. It's true, people. Not everybody has the mindset for a relationship, and not everybody has the mindset for a single life. Because there's some people who are codependent, where they actually need to have a counterpart to survive throughout life, and that's really not a mature adult who is psychologically developed progressively to be able to think on their own. And then you have single people who have the single mindset, who are not relationship material at all, so they are better off in solitary. Charlie is more of a single mindset person. That's the reason why he remains single, because he doesn't like that gushy lovey-dovey type stuff, and he doesn't like to commit. In which a person not liking to commit relationship wise doesn't mean that they're a negative person, that they're not a good person. It just means that they're not ready to commit in that form, in that shape, in that zone, that relationship zone. And these single-minded people, you let them be single-minded people. You don't force them to be in relationships, because whenever you do that and you try to get in relationships with them, they're more than likely going to be still single-minded, and they're going to think for themselves rather than thinking for the group as a relationship. So it's like, you got to really think and analyze people. That's why I say analyzing is very, very important to do, having an analytical mind, so that you can think before you actually enter a situation with an individual. So once I developed this analytical mindset and learning to read people, it has saved me a lot of time. So now I know the difference between a person who has the relationship mindset versus the single person mindset. And Charlie has the single person mindset. So pressuring people to get into a relationship, that's a big no-no. Especially if they have a single mind, a solitary mindset, or bachelor mindset, or whatever you want to call it. Charlie had the bachelor mindset. He did not want to be in a relationship. So regardless of how beautiful the person looks, how much money they have, if they have the single mentality, they're more than likely not relationship material. But it all depends. Every situation is different. So you have to analyze the situation. Keep that in mind. Now let's go to strong parental guidance. I'm going to describe that. Strong parental guidance is two parents or caretakers, or even one, because you can still have a strong parental guidance, receive strong parental guidance from a mature, psychologically sound and emotionally sound and balanced individual. However, we're going to talk about well, would you say parental guidance in general? Yeah, it can come from either or it can also come from an older sibling. But strong parental guidance in general is having that information, receiving that knowledge from an individual that allows you as an individual to develop your mind into a mature adult, allowing you to have independent thinking that allows you to make wise and high quality decisions within your own life. Parental guidance that is void from an individual's early childhood, that results into a immature, psychologically and emotionally unstable, undisciplined individual. This is what we have a lot here in America. A lot of immature, psychologically and emotionally unstable and undisciplined individuals who project an image of adulthood, thinking that because they have a car, they have their own home, their own money, and that they can make their own decisions regarding clothing and things to eat. They think that makes them an adult, and even if they have children, they think that makes them an adult. Me really reflecting on this and going to deep contemplation of this and developing myself with self-education, I have come to the conclusion that the average American, and I say American because I study Americans and I live here in America, so it's like it's all of that I was able to really examine. But the average American is still psychologically a child. And the way that the American society is ran and has been structured, it's been structured to keep people on a childlike state psychologically and emotionally. And I see what's going on. And once I see what's going on and I'm able to perceive beyond this adult projection that people project, I see that the average person, they're still a child. So when a person is still psychologically a child, these individuals, you can only expect so much maturity from them, because very few people have worked through developing those cracks and crevices of their mind, because there's a lot of cracks and crevices of a person's mind that they have not, well, that goes undeveloped. And this is why these individuals need to do what I call the 3 SDs, or the SDs. And I'll go into the SDs. The SDs are self-reflection, self-analysis, and self-development. Self-reflection is reflecting on how you as an individual were raised, and reflecting on your life as it is now, and reflecting on your current behavior within all of your life and within all of your relationships, and reflecting on what people say that you are and how they say that you behave, and looking at the patterns. Let me give you an example. If a person says that an individual is selfish and they consistently say it, the person, well, a variety of people consistently say it about that individual, then it's a good chance that that individual is selfish. So that person needs to analyze why they are selfish and start to figure out ways that they can reverse that so that they can be more giving. And I can use me as an example. Throughout my life, my early childhood, my mother has been saying that to me as a child, and all the way up to my early 20s. You're selfish. You're just like your father. You're selfish. You're just like your father. So with me reflecting on that in my mid-20s, I'm like, okay, well, that's how I was. That's how I am. So let me figure out how to change this. And then I also reflected on, like, wait a minute, she's a parent. She's my mother. She's supposed to develop me into a mature adult so that I can avoid being selfish, so that I can be more giving. And yes, she is giving to a certain extent, but she still has selfish undertones. And as a child, it was those undertones that I was subliminally absorbing, and absorbing a variety of other selfishness. And there was like no other image that I was being shown, and also being taught verbally, one-on-one, like, okay, look, this is what you do when this, and this. It was that one-on-one time that was voided from my early childhood with my mother, and that was what developed into a mother deficiency, a parental deficiency is what I call it. That lap time, what you can call it. So I had to go through my years of resolving that and reversing that. So that's where that self-reflection and self-analysis and self-development comes in. You're reflecting on all of the things that went on throughout your life, your early childhood especially, and then you got to analyze it and really think about it. But you got to look at it from an objective point of view and also a internal point of view about how you felt, and look at it from the objective point of view from the outside and look and figure out, like, okay, this went on and this occurred, so this is what caused me to do this, and this, and to behave in this sort of way, and it's still affecting me. So I got to figure out how can I resolve it. And then that's when the self-development comes in. And all of this right here allows you to develop yourself so that you can evolve as an individual, rather than sitting there complaining like most humans, oh, I'm not perfect, and this is just the way I am. And that's how most humans do. They just, well, how society programs people to just accept themselves as they are, rather than taking the full responsibility, the full accountability to evolve as a person. Get it? If you got any questions, go ahead, of course, send me emails, and I'll go ahead and do my best to answer them. Okay, so what we have here is, I wrote down the top propagandas that they have in this movie. And these top propagandas is pretty much in almost every romance movie and movies that involve humans in general, and especially relationships and family life. So I have here the materialism propaganda. Materialism, this was everywhere in this movie. Materialism, you got the single man, Charlie. He's in this huge home, this mansion, which was highly unnecessary because he's by himself. He's not looking to have a family or children. So it's like, why the fuck do you need a big ass home like that when you're the only one there, other than his fucking ego showing off his riches and trying to fit in with society of the high class, and just to show off, which that was highly unnecessary, him having that big ass home, which he probably got like 2 or 3 toilets in that home, 2 or 3 bedrooms, not bedrooms, but bathrooms. So then you have the other materialism, expensive wedding. This is a big propaganda that is part of the romance propaganda. We're having these expensive and elaborate weddings, and this is one of the propagandas that females in general fall victim of easily. It might be on some occasions, rare occasions, that the male is obsessed with having an expensive wedding, which that's his childlike state to really show off, which I can understand that. I mean, it would be nice to have a wedding, but it's like you got to balance it out. You have to have a balanced view, because that wedding is a symbol of your union, the union of male and female, but it's not the end all be all. But the way society social engineers people, they social engineers them to believe that the expensive wedding is the end all be all, and it's the focal point of a relationship. Which, if you think about it and you look throughout history, after that expensive wedding, that's when the majority of relationships go downhill. And you can do there's studies, there's a lot of studies in a lot of these books and a lot of places where they actually did studies that show that the expensive wedding, the more expensive the wedding is, the less likely the relationship is going to flourish and to maintain throughout the years. So you can go ahead and check that out yourself. And I just got to say that having an expensive wedding is not a good idea. Just focus on having a balanced, relaxed wedding, a normal one, just to go ahead and celebrate, because the celebration is just a symbol. But the real union is the union of two energies, and that's throughout the sexual intercourse of an individual. See, that's the advanced information that most people aren't aware of. The marriage is when two people have sex with each other. The wedding is the symbol for the public to see that you two individuals are married and you are a couple. Having the written information down, going to get the paperwork and all of that other crap that you got to get downtown, that's where the trap is. That's where the European social engineering comes into play and has gotten everybody trapped. That's why I say marriage is the way that it is has been displayed throughout society, American society. It's a motherfucking trap. And me analyzing this myself, it's a trap on a variety of levels. So that's why for me, I would avoid getting married the way that society programs people. And that's the way that it went down in this movie. So that right there I would avoid based on my own analysis. So you got to go ahead and analyze it yourself to see what's going on. That's the propaganda. The other propaganda materialism is being obsessed with large sums of money. Yes, having big money is nice. However, you have to have a balanced view of money. And not allowing it to control you and allowing it to be the end all be all for you. So you can see that the rapper French Montana, he was just obsessed with the big money. He really wasn't thinking about, okay, what does this involve? Let me analyze this for myself. The first time they showed him, he was like, if you got big, talking big money like that, come on, let's do it. But for me, I was like, I would have been like, okay, well, let me investigate this and let's talk about this first before I get my hopes up and be all willy-nilly with it and just signing shit easy, like open. So that's another thing to consider. So that's another propaganda. So next we have the romance propaganda. Again, I mentioned the wedding, the expensive wedding, and just the wedding in general, having that princess feeling. That's a propaganda that has been going on for years, even with the Disney movies, getting the females to believe that they are princesses. And a princess, if you think about it, that princess mindset is still a childlike state. It's still in that teenage stage. These women these days, they're not focused on obtaining that queen mindset. A queen is on a higher level than that princess. And me observing a variety of women, especially recently, I see they have this princess mindset. They want to go through that experience of being a princess, and going through this wedding is their way of going through that experience. But again, that mindset of a princess is still on a low state. It's still not even a queen. So it's still fucked up in the head. So that's another propaganda that people have to really analyze and see what's going on. Let's see here. The romance propaganda of that passion, so-called lovemaking. So you see in a lot of these movies, they put into the movies these scenes where they're so-called love making, but it's just a quick infatuation at moments, experiences. You know, they that high passion. Oh, let's make love, and two people they just met, then they talk about let's just make love, and that's not love. And then that gets into the mind of the young people for many years until when they get into adulthood, they think that two people who like each other physically, they think that they can go ahead and have a relationship with each other based off of that one moment of passion, whether it be just that conversation or even the conversation and then the sexual intercourse right after that. A lot of people base their relationships off of that moment without doing any kind of analyzing of the other individual to see if they're even psychologically and emotionally and also physically prepared for a relationship. I say physically because a lot of people physically aren't in good health. They're taking medicine, and those medicines, those pills, it fucks with people's heads psychologically, and they aren't able to make wise quality decisions. And I learned that from my last situation dealing with the last female, that she had a lot of pills that she was taking, and me reflecting on that situation, I was like, oh, so that's the reason why she was doing all of these fucked up things, and she wasn't thinking right because she had those pills. She was under the influence of those pills. That's another thing that people have to consider. So we have that. We have the parenthood propaganda. The parenthood propaganda, that's when they put it in people's heads to be obsessed with parenthood. Everybody wants to be a parent. Not everybody, but a lot of these, well, it's both. It's male and females who want to be parents, and they want to be parents based on what they've been seeing throughout the media over and over again. And then it gets into their head, they're like, oh, maybe I want to be a parent. And then sometimes they're surrounded by people who have their own children, and then it influences them to want their own children. And this happens a lot frequently with a lot of people, and then there's no thought process, there's no analyzing of the situation about if it makes sense for them as individuals to be parents. So with me, I analyzed that early on, and the spirit early on told me, like, look at observe your family first, analyze their situation, and at the same time avoid having children. I got that early on, like when I was 16, sitting down by myself. Spiritual information came through that told me to avoid having children, and me reflecting on my life all the way up until now, I see the importance of me avoiding having children. And then I see a lot what's going on with children themselves and what parents do when they have children. It's really a lot going on, and I plan on doing a lecture on that regarding single mothers, and I'll give more information about what happens when people have children. So that's another propaganda too. They put it in people's heads to the desire to be parents, and then once people have that desire, they don't really sit down and analyze it. Like, why do they have that desire, and if it really makes sense to go through with that desire and execute it. Yeah, so that's that. The other propaganda is beauty. The beauty propaganda that I have, that was in the movie. They had a lot of beautiful people, but what's going on throughout the media in general, they make people perceive that beauty is all you need to get what you want in life and what you need in life. And then the other thing is the propaganda also makes people get blinded by beauty, and once a person gets blinded by beauty, there's no analyzing that goes on throughout their head to think about if this person is worth being in a relationship with, And then not only with relationships, they think that because a person is beautiful, they just accept a variety of bullshit. They just tolerate a variety of bullshit just because that person is beautiful. So that's the beauty propaganda. And I can go on and on with that beauty propaganda. That goes on a lot throughout the American society in general, but a variety of other places also. And also, what I want to convey when I say blinded by beauty, I mean like a psychological blindness, a psychological blindness where the individual who is perceiving this beauty of another person as far as physical appearance, they get psychologically blinded by that person's physical appearance, which in turns cuts off their intellectual thinking so that they can't perceive that whether this person is good or not, involving anything. So it's like this society has been structured to just be so obsessed with a person's outer appearance. Once I came to maturity and to really analyze what's going on with society and human relationships, that and also going through my own experiences, I came to the conclusion that it really isn't all about beauty. Like, for now, from here on now, what I've been doing is, if I do see a beautiful woman that I feel is beautiful, then the next thing for me to do is read her. I get a reading on her, like a intuitive reading. I just sit there and I observe her, and then if I'm able to speak with her, then I'll speak with her, and then I'll see what else does she have available psychologically that she can offer up to any kind of relationship in that. Because sometimes for some people, beauty is all they have. It's literally, and I've met some females where, and I've been in past situations where that's literally all they have, is that beautiful face and or body. So you guys got to really pay attention to that. All right, so what I have here written down is, just like I said in my last lecture, have your own terms and conditions. Having your own terms and conditions, just as Charles has his, but he calls them rules, which is it's the same thing. He called them rules. And to me, in my opinion, based on being analytical and thinking things out ahead of time, it makes sense. And I'm happy that he at least had 3 rules rather than having nothing, like the average person who just goes along with what society tells them to do and what they seen on TV and overall the media. He at least, if you can see throughout the film, he at least thought certain things out, even though he could have thought more things out regarding himself and on what else he needs to do for his own self-development, but he at least gave it some thought. So for you, I advise you to do, and everybody that's listening, is to sit down and figure out their own terms and conditions with various areas of their life, especially relationships, especially all of their relationships. Sit down and figure out what you are willing to tolerate, what you're not willing to tolerate, and then you got to just figure out how you're going to lay down your terms and conditions. You can think them all up in your head, as long as you can remember them. Think them all up in your head and remember them, and then find a way to convey them to any individual before you get into any situation with them. It's terms and conditions. That lets people know that you respect yourself, and you demand that they respect you. But if you don't have any terms and conditions, then they're just gonna do whatever the fuck they want to do, just like they probably people have done to a lot of you people who are listening right now. You're just doormats to a lot of people. That's why you got to sit down and do your SDs: self-reflection, self-analysis, and self-development. ASAP. Okay. Okay. Um Next we have many people get involved with other people so that they themselves can live through their own life vicariously through others. The guy, Charles Friend, the bald-headed dude, the dude from Scrubs, he said it very, very quickly before they walked into that juice shop right after they had their workout. And then after they was looking at the girl shaking her butt, shaking her butt on that the cell phone that they was looking at, and then he was like, "You guys," Charles said something like, "You guys," he was like, "I moved on," and then he was like, "That's what you guys need to do, just move on." And then the bald-headed dude was like, "I'm just living vicariously through you," meaning he's just wishing that he has Charles' life, but he doesn't. So he has Charles as a friend so that he could somewhat have the experience in some sort of way. You get it? Which it really, really is. It sounds so lame as it really is, because it sounds like a person who is just a dreamer rather than a doer, or a master of his or her own reality. So what some people do, especially here in America, they just live through other people by observing them in some sort of way. And this American society has been highly structured for that. And that's why they have a lot of these tabloids with these celebrities. They have MTV, they have BET with all these celebrities. Oh, the new celebrity is doing this, and this. Oh, this new celebrity came out and he did this. And this celebrity is dating such and such. And then a large portion of the Americans, they sit here and they gobble it all up. They make sure that they're on their TV, they're on their smartphones. They make sure they go grab the newest magazine and see what such and such is doing, what Kanye West is doing, what Beyonce is doing, what Jay-Z is doing. Let's see, who else is a big one? What's that girl name? What's that lady name with the black hair? Kim Kardashian, what she's doing. They just gobble it all up. This is what's called living life vicariously through others. Vicariously is a word that I had to look up right after the Scrubs guy said it. But what it means is going through some kind of experience, whether it be taste, touch, feel, sight, through something or someone else. It's something like that I remember. But it's like living life through a funnel of somebody else's funnel, somebody else's life. And parents do this also. I have to tell you this. And some of you who are listening, you might are a person that's doing this to your children, or have been a victim of this from your own parents. What I mean by this, many parents live their life through their children because, say for example, the parent was in some sort of occupation that their career didn't dawn out the way that they wanted it to go. So what some parents do is they'll some way, somehow influence their child to go into the occupation that the parents or the parent were in. They influence them in some sort of way. Like, say for example, a basketball player, he was a former NBA player. Whether his career went great or not, he wants his son to be in the NBA. So what he'll do is, especially if his career was not successful, was unsuccessful, especially if his career was unsuccessful, then he'll do whatever he can to live his life through his son and try to get his son to do the things that he himself did not do, rather than allowing the son to make his own decision from the beginning to decide on if he even wants to be a basketball player. And this goes on a lot, people. I'm telling you, I've seen it a lot throughout my intensive observation and investigation of human relationships. And it's not only like basketball, it's a variety of other occupations. So keep that in mind, and then you as parents need to allow your child to decide on what they want to do with their life. And as the child, you have to sit down and think for yourself, and don't allow your parents to try to do the thinking for you regarding on where you want your life to be. So there's a lot of parents that are dictators. They're dictators, and it's like it's okay to a certain extent until the child is able to think for themselves. But after a while, you're supposed to be making sure that your child is able to develop their mind. You assist developing their mind to have independent thinking. That's your job as a parent. To all of the parents out there. Okay, let's see. This is something that made me realize, I would say this is probably the new insight that I already knew, but it popped up in my head again and made me realize it like deep. Do you remember where at the end of his, I was about to say end of his career, but the end of his affair with Eva, and he was just moping around in his bed. He was moping around in the bar, and he was just really distraught. This is what I have to say to everybody listening. All relationships in general have some sort of psychological and emotional involvement. All relationships in general have some sort of psychological and emotional involvement. Whether you consider it a relationship or a situation, regardless, your mind and your emotions will be affected in some sort of way. Unless you're on a very, very high level, high psychological development level, where you can control your mind and just cut off your emotions. Some of us can do that. Us men, we are conducive to do that. We're hardwired to do that, to cut off ourselves from our emotions. And that was from the times of need when we were hunting, because we needed to cut off our emotions so that we can hunt down an animal or to do any other difficult work that everybody else wouldn't do because of their emotions. Their emotions have been their psychological block that stops them from moving forward with a certain action. So we were hardwired to be able to do that. Cut that emotion off, and boom, go kill a lion, or go kill a bison or something like that. So that's why there's a lot of us who can actually do that, and we can do certain things to certain women and just be completely remorseless for it. However, there's some males nowadays that's even more emotional, almost to the likes of a female. And when I see that, I'm like, I don't think this guy really knows what he's supposed to be doing right about now. And he's falling into his emotions and allowing his emotions to get the best of him. And this is an example right here with Charles. Charles thought that because he wasn't in a committed romantic relationship with Eva early on, when everything was happy-go-lucky, that his emotions wasn't involved. However, the rule is psychologically, and this is psychologically, the rule is the more exposure you have to an individual, whether it be externally on TV YouTube, wherever, and especially if you have one-on-one access to this individual, whether it be male, female, child, whatever, the more exposure, the closer the proximity that you have with them, you're going to some way, somehow develop some sort of emotions, some sort of feelings for this individual, regardless of what it is. This is something that I feel like once I was studying this and I sat down and I analyzed this years ago, as far as the more exposure that a person has with another person, the more feelings that they'll develop for the other person. I realized that most people don't realize this in relationships. So it's like a lot of people who are currently in a committed relationship, in their current committed relationship with an individual, the other individual or both of them might be at work a lot, and they have a lot of exposure with that new intern or that new employee that just came in, or with any other employees that they are hanging out with, and then somehow them spending a lot of alone time with those other individuals, they develop a closeness to them. And that closeness, a lot of people, like I say, a lot of people are psychologically and emotionally undisciplined. So they don't know how to control these emotions, and they don't know how to perceive things before they actually happen. So when another person at the workplace likes that one individual who's already in a relationship, they will find ways to get alone time with that other individual so that they can do whatever it is that they have planning. But the one that's in a committed relationship, if they have the relationship mindset, they will already know what this flirting person is already trying to do. And so the one that's in the relationship, they'll know how to structure everything else so that they can put some sort of psychological boundary in between the two so that they can still get their job done together. You get it? But this is not how most people think. This is seriously not how most people think. This is on more an advanced level. And this is something that I certainly want to teach in my advanced classes, my relationship advanced classes, if I ever decide to do that, classes or courses, because this is stuff that's psychological control. You got to learn how to control yourself and perceive this type of stuff. Now I can perceive it. Now I know when a woman likes me, and I know that if I don't like this, if I don't like her, if I need to work with her for whatever reason, then I'll still find ways to get around so that I can still separate her feelings from me, and I can avoid being able, well, she can still have her feelings, but I can avoid me giving off the wrong type of energy, the wrong impression, to make her think that I'm into her when I'm actually not. So this is a lot of stuff to really think about. That's some stuff to really think about that most people don't think about. So I had to make sure that I put that in there. If you have any questions, comments for that, about what I just said, then go ahead, put it in the comment section, or if you want, go ahead and send me an email. Okay, and then I want to say, as far as that, Charles, I don't believe he really realized what I just said. And he really realized that the emotions still can get involved, even if you are just doing the sex only thing. So that's how it is with that character. Oh, here we go. This is perfect timing too. In all relationships, you must know how much energy to offer the relationship, and also when. All relationships require different amounts of energy. Let me say it again. In all relationships, you must know how much, or I'll say you must know the amount of energy to offer the relationship, and when to offer that amount of energy. all relationships require different amounts of energy. And what I mean by this is your first and foremost, this is where the self-reflection comes in. You have to prioritize all of your relationships that you have in your life currently. Prioritize them. And whatever is at your highest primary list, at the list, that's your primary relationships, all of them, those are the ones that you want to give your most energy to. And you have to figure out some kind of structure for that energy that you're giving the relationship. And then the ones that you have on the bottom of your list that are the least priority, the less priority, those are the ones that you give less energy to. Now, I'm going to use this movie as an example. So these two individuals, Charlie and Eva, they are just, let's just come out and say it, they are just fuck buddies. They're just fuck buddies. They just getting together, fucking each other, and it's just sex. And that's it. Right? Okay, now, this is not a relationship, a committed relationship between these two individuals. Correct? So if this is not a committed relationship between these two do not need to show any kind of emotions to each other. And these two individuals do not need to be around each other unless they're just gonna have the sex and then that's it. So when you're in a relationship like this, Charles and Eva, in order to keep emotions out of the picture, which both individuals needed to do, in particular Charles, because Charles, he really didn't know what the fuck he was doing psychologically, and how to control his emotions. The Eva, I give a shout out to her because she knew how to do it. She still had feelings for him later on, and I can still see that after my second viewing of it, she still did it. Because if she didn't have feelings for him, she wouldn't have showed up at his fucking his opening. She wouldn't have showed up there, because if it was just sex and it wasn't emotions involved, you keep shit to a minimum. So let me tell you how this goes down. So if it's just sex only, all you need to do is you either call or text, say, are you available at such and such? Oh yes, I'm available. Good. Can you come over, or wherever y'all gonna go ahead and fuck? All right, let's meet such and such. Boom. Okay, you meet up. Hi, how you doing? Do the little quick chit chat. You know how we all do chit chat. All right, boom. Let's get to the fucking. Boom. Let's fuck. All right, we fucking. At the end of that, oh, that was good. All right, pull your pants up, get a drink, chat for a little bit. All right, bye. That's it. And split. Matter of fact, if you really want to strip it down, you don't even have the drink. You just fuck and then that's it. Straight up. Just like that. That's how you do it. But these young individuals, Charles and Eva, they sitting down on the couch, drinking, talking, chatting it out. Then this chick is now able to go behind his bar, give him the wine or whatever it is, give him a drink, and they sitting there chit-chatting about his work life. I'm sitting here like, what the fuck these niggas doing? If y'all just fucking, you're not supposed to talk. You gotta stop talking to each other. You gotta only talk on a need-to-know basis. You only give information on a need-to-know basis. It's just no emotions. It evolves, and that's how a lot of these people who have these fuck buddy relationships, they get fucked up in a lot of ways psychologically. And a lot of people base their relationship, they start a relationship off of a fuck buddy relationship. And I know how that shit goes down because that happened to me. Let's see, I went through that experience once, I'll say once. And me analyzing it, I'm like, oh, I see where I messed up at. Now I know I have to do this, and this, and then strip this down. So that's how I came to the conclusion of knowing the amount of energy to give and how to give that energy to each of your relationships. So it goes back again, self-reflection, self-analysis. You got to sit down and figure this shit out for yourself. All right, so we're gonna go here and talk about maturity. While watching this movie, a thought came to me about maturity, and I was saying to myself, maturity is scarce in America. It's so scarce that most people, they don't know what maturity is at all. They don't know what it is, and they don't know how it looks when it's right there in front of them. And me doing like intense studying and observation and investigation of human relationships, maturity, I've realized that maturity plays a big part in the success of a relationship, and just success in life in general. That maturity, I'm telling you, it's a psychological program, I'll say, so to speak, that needs to be installed as the basic installation of everybody if they want to be a successful adult and successful in life in as many areas of their life, especially relationships. But I'm realizing this and looking at a lot of people as a whole, and after I matured and I can really explain it, and it's obvious in a lot of ways, and I don't have to really go through a whole list of why I consider myself mature, but that would be an immature thing to do. So once I did it and I was able to perceive it, once I got that maturity installed through my development, my self-development, I started to look around like, wow, people don't know what maturity really is. And then I realized also from my investigation that people think, like people here in American society, they think that being an adult is having a car. I think I said this earlier in this lecture. They think that having a car, a house, kids, and money is an adult. They consider themselves as an adult. No, that's just one aspect of adulthood. Maturity is what identifies an individual as an adult. Having a high quality mentality, a high quality mind is what considers a person an adult, a mature adult. A 14-year-old can be more mature than a 50-year-old if that 14-year-old has either developed themselves or their parents or caretakers have done the work to assist their child into maturity, which most Americans fail to do, because and remember I told you, this American society is structured to keep people in a childlike state of mind. So what I've noticed throughout my investigation, what I have learned is that most parents, they delay their child's maturity. They're actually, with the various things that they have been taught as parents to do to raise their child, they literally have been retarding their child's growth. Literally, that's what I came to conclusion, and that's how I'm gonna put it. Most parents in America have been retarding their child's growth, stunting their child's psychological and emotional growth. There's very little psychological and emotional development that is progressive, that is of growth, that the average American parent offers their child at an early age, and they are consistent with it. Especially the single parent homes, especially when the single parent has to do the work outside the home to bring in money, especially that there's a disconnection with the development of the child. There's very few parents, a small group of parents, who are consistent with focusing on progressively developing their child psychologically, emotionally, and physically, because physically is also getting that exercise, instead of then allowing their child to sit down in front of that fucking Xbox or that TV and just sucking down those hamburgers. That's how them children get fat. So that's what I have to say about maturity. Now I have some notes written down here about signs of immaturity that were in the movie, and this is again propaganda. So I can call this one immaturity propaganda that most people miss in these movies, but I'll point these out in here, and they intentionally are meant to be missed by the average individual, so that they can be socially programmed into immaturity or further immaturity. Okay, so let's see here. Now, Abram riding a hoverboard in a corporate setting. You remember the guy that was rolling around that hoverboard with the two wheels? And Charles looked at him like, why are you always on that hoverboard? That right there is a sign of immaturity, because as far as in a corporate setting, unless this is a fun corporate setting where the company is meant to have fun, and they were designed, they have their structure around fun, that's different. But this is a, what do you call it, an ad company, or whatever company Charles was in. Shit, what was the fucking the agency? Yeah, it was an agency. This was an agency, and this wasn't no Disney type agency. This was a serious business type ordeal. So riding a fucking hoverboard looks so childish. So that's a sign of immaturity. The other thing, the sign that I have, is pressuring people to enter a relationship. That is one sign of immaturity. As a mature individual, what a mature individual would do is just allow people to be who they say that they want to be, and then and allow them to be in a relationship or not being in a relationship. But these people in this movie, The Perfect Match, they have been pressuring Charles to be in a relationship, and Charles has been standing his ground, saying that he doesn't want one. So what you need to do as an individual is leave people the fuck alone who say that they don't want to be in a relationship. It's really simple, but humans just make it a lot of stuff so fucking hard. It's just ridiculous. All right. Speaking explicitly about a female while she is within close proximity. Speaking explicitly about a female while she is within close proximity. This is something that I've learned throughout my investigation of men and observation of men. This occurs a lot with men, more with men rather than with women. And it's really, really ridiculous. And that's one of the reasons why I rarely associate myself with the average masses of men in general. Once I see that sign of immaturity, then that's when I start to question, like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't be around this individual. And especially considering that if you want to potentially approach that female, that is, oh, man, it's like, duh, why the I can go in on this, but I'm not gonna do that. So it's just ridiculous. I just got this higher mindset that just pisses me off when I see stuff like this, especially when a male does it to a female. That just really, really bothers me. So I'm gonna let that go for right now. Let's see here. Another sign of immaturity, undisciplined, and undevelopment psychologically. Okay, this is another one. Let me see here. Unable to take career steps on your own. Do you remember that? And, all right, Brandy's character, Charlie. All right, no, I'm gonna go into that part later. All right, she was. You remember when Brandy's character came in, and she had this kind of deal with some sort of deal situation where the director wanted to meet her, and she was kind of nervous about it, and she wanted Charlie to come along with her. Now, to me, they really didn't give any background regarding Brandy's character, so I can't really say much about it, but based on the intuitive reading that I got on what was going on in the scene right there that was shown, I was able to see that Brandy, her character, was not fully mature, number one, and number two, was not psychologically solid, sound, and stable at all, really. Now, do you remember when Charlie was talking with her at one point? If you really look at her face and her overall energy, it changed to a childlike state. Again, this is the immaturity propaganda that's going on, social engineering people. So when she switched it, and I read that energy switch, and I'm like, oh, and this was the second time that I watched it. I was like, oh shit, look at this. So she acting like a child now, and her energy switched. And then that's when Charlie came in. He came in with the father-like energy. So he was the father, the mature adult in that situation. And as you can see, he came through and he got progressive, positive results out of the situation. So after I sat down and I analyzed that scene, I was like, now look at this. Now Charlie, he actually tapped into his maturity and his father-like masculine side of himself. I'm like, so if this dude would do this more often, more women would respect him and want to be with him. More quality women, not just those beautiful Barbie dolls. Barbie dolls meaning they're beautiful on the outside, but they don't have a mind on the inside. But he would attract more quality women who look good on the outside and also have that high quality mind that's relationship ready. But again, he wasn't taught this type of stuff, and he didn't develop himself, so he didn't realize that he already has maturity inside of him. He just has to learn how to tap into it and bring it out more often and learn how to maintain it. So instead, he predominantly operates on his childlike mentality, and that's where he got fucked up with Eva, and he doesn't want to listen to a lot of the stuff that his mature sister has to say early on in the movie. It took him to get his heart broken to actually sit the fuck down and realize, like, oh, hold on, my sister actually knows what she's talking about, and my sister is mature. And this dude, if anybody has sisters or an older sibling that's mature like Charlie's sister in the movie, I'm telling you, you have to really appreciate these individuals. For me, in my early years, in my teens, I realized that my two older sisters were not the mature individuals, and they're not the leaders that they should be for us younger siblings. They didn't have that leadership mindset because they didn't have that image shown to them what a leader is. And also, they didn't have that spiritual awakening inside of them that just says, oh, okay, well, it's time for me to get my life together and do this, this, and this. So for me, my spiritual side was like, look, you can't be sitting around worrying about your father, your mother, your two older sisters. Neither of them are going to lead you and help you in your life. You have to be the leader. And I'm sitting down realizing, like, wow, I have to be the leader of the family, and I have to lead by example. I don't have to sit there and talk and point fingers and point in directions to guide people. I just have to be the strong-minded one that's solid. And whenever they need help, boom, you be there. I be there for them whenever they need help, if I feel like I can help them. But other than that, don't follow them. So from then on, I just kept developing myself to where now I'm really fully self-sufficient. So I left, like I said in my last lecture, I left my father and my mother alone. I cut myself off psychologically and emotionally so that I can focus on developing myself and leave them alone, because there's no need to get any kind of life guidance from them, because both of them are psychologically locked into their self-denial. More so with my mother than my father. My father will literally, the last time I spoke with him on my birthday, when I turned 26, and I had a dinner with him, he was open with his past, and I learned a lot of information from him that my mother never told me about. So he's open, so if I ever want information about him and my mother from the past, I can get it from him. But if I want information about him from my mother, she's just gonna continue to give it to me from a negative point of view. So that's why I realized a lot of my negativity, when I did have it later on toward my father, it came from my mother. She was and is still one of those bitter type females who didn't get their way with a male, and then they just running around, oh, men are dogs, men are this, and this, and all she had was just one fucking experience with a male that I know of, actually, because who knows, my mother probably could have been through a whole lot of other stuff that she didn't tell me, and there's a lot that I'm learning about her that she didn't tell me. I'm like, wow. And that's again, there's no need to get mad at her. I already know that she's in a psychosis, so I just focus on myself, and if ever she wants to actually start developing herself, if she wants some sort of assistance from me, then boom, I'll do it. But I'm not gonna fuck with her on trying to help her evolve, because she already made it known, and it's obvious to me that she doesn't want to grow. She just wants to stay as she is, and that's how a lot of parents are, and a lot of siblings are too. So once you have grown, there's some people in your family that they don't want to grow. They just want to stay as they are. So you have to monitor your association with these individuals, because if you stay with them, then they most likely might get you to be either down on their level or to stop your own growth. So think about it. All right, so that is the end of my notes. And do I have anything else to say? There's nothing else for me to say about this movie. I'm tired of talking about this movie. This movie was corny. It was whack. The most important part that I like was looking at Paula Patton. I love looking at her. She is so beautiful, and I certainly would love to speak with her and meet her. And oh my God. Let me stop right here. I'll leave that alone right now. Y'all can already see that I really like her. Her and Alicia Keys are the top two celebrities that I absolutely really like and have a crush on, especially Alicia Keys. Now look, to all you young females out there, when I talk about maturity, and based on my observation of Alicia Keys throughout the years, me observing her interviews, based on what I've seen that way, she has grown into a mature adult, a mature woman who makes wise, high quality decisions within her life. People like that, once a person reaches a mature state of being, they will attract other mature people around them. And even if the other people around them are still on an immature level, those immature individuals, when they come around the mature one, they themselves, as the immature people, they want to raise themselves up so that they can get on the level of the mature one. And I see that when a lot of people are around Alicia Keys. and throughout these interviews and just listening to her stories and stuff. And with what's his name, Swiss Beats. Because when I heard that she was married to Swiss Beats, I was like, what the fuck? Just like everybody else. It's like, what the fuck? How the fuck did he get with her? But listening to the way that she speaks about him, I'm like, wow, she got him to mature based on the information that I got. But I haven't seen her behind the scenes, so I can't say anything that is authentic. But based on that projection, she comes across as mature. So for me, there's only one way to really find out for myself with individuals, to be really, really sure, and that's actually speaking with them and being around them. That's the really, really sure way. But I can still get other readings. But anyways, that's what I want to say. That's a sign of maturity, is the way that she is. And Paula Patton, I got to look at some more interviews of her. I haven't really investigated her interviews yet and broke them down to really see where her mind is. But that's that. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. Please go ahead and email me your feedback. Email me or write a comment in the comment section here. Send me your questions, comments, and concerns through email or through any way you want, or Facebook too. You got that. And I also have a Facebook committed relationship blog. A Facebook committed relationship group. If you want to join that, that'll be in the description. I also have a committed relationship blog where you can catch up on all of my older relationship articles that I wrote. And then I also have the committed relationship ebook. That's only for $3. $3, people. And you can go ahead to my blog and read the first 2 chapters. Then go ahead and email me and let me know if you want the full book after that, and we can take it from there. Thank you very much. Like, comment, and subscribe, please. And also pass this link of this video on to anybody else who you feel might be interested, whether it be your Facebook friends, your Twitter, anywhere else you can share this video and any of my other videos, my other lectures. All right, until next time.